Idolatry, past and present. Let those, therefore, who look for empty excuses to justify the abominable idolatry which for many long years now has ruined and destroyed religion, sharpen both their ears and their understanding. We do not, they protest, think of images as gods. Nor were the Jews so senseless as not to remember that there was a God who had freed them from slavery in Egypt before they made the golden calves. Certainly, when Aaron told them, after the calves were made, to come and worship the gods who had rescued them from Egypt, they willingly consented to his words, showing that they meant to abide by the living God who had delivered them, as long as they had the calf to remind them of him. In the same way, we should not think that the heathen were so ignorant as not to know that another God existed apart from the gods of wood and stone. Accordingly, they changed their effigies whenever they pleased, always retaining the same gods in their hearts. Besides, they created many forms for the same God, yet did not regard them as different gods. Lastly, they consecrated new statues every day, but had no notion that to do this was to make new gods. What then? There is no doubt that all idolaters, whether Jews or heathen, were, as we have said, victims of the same illusion. Not content with the spiritual knowledge of God, they thought that they could attain a surer knowledge by making effigies. Now, ever since this false and evil reminder of God was introduced, the practice has continued to the point where, conceiving error after error, they ended up believing that God revealed his power in these images of him. Yet the Jews were sure that in worshipping images they were honoring the Lord their God, creator of heaven and earth, and the heathen thought that they were worshipping their gods whom they pictured as living in heaven. Those who deny that the same occurred earlier in popery, and still occurs today, are gross deceivers. For why do they kneel before images? Why do they come before them to pray, as if by doing so they were drawing close to the ear of God? Why do they discriminate so much between representations of the same God, with one being scorned outright or only mildly honored, while the greatest esteem and reverence is paid to the other? Why do they go to such trouble with pilgrimages, visiting idols whose like they have in their own homes? Why do they battle so hard on their behalf, as if they were fighting for wives, children, and their own lives? So much so that they would be happier being parted from God than from their images. As it is, I have not yet said anything about the crude superstitions of the common folk, which are almost infinite in number and are deeply rooted in the hearts of most men. I will do no more than refer in passing to the claims which they make when they seek to rebut and to clear themselves of the charge of idolatry. We do not call images our gods, they say. No more did the Jews and pagans in olden times. And yet the prophets and the whole of Scripture itself continually reproached them for whoring after wood and stone, since they, no less than today's self-styled Christians, were worshipping God in fleshly form in their memorials of wood and stone.